and at your own pace. Also, let me tell you that at the end of the story, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and you can begin when you're ready.
Okay. Mother, there's a dragon after me. It won't go away. The next day when Danny went out, there it was. It roared and blew a fire at Danny. It was so big and Danny was so small. Leave me alone. Danny ran down the path to the river and behind the rock to see if the dragon was still coming. It was. He had to get rid of the dragon. He went home through the woods. He needed a plan to trick the dragon. In bed that night, Danny made his plan. He had to trick the dragon into the river. He knew the dragon could not swim. While it still was dark, Danny climbed out the window. He cut a rope and tiptoed away from the house. Then he ran to the big rock by the river. Then he laid the rope across the path. He tied one of the ends to the rope of the tree. He laid the other end on the ground behind a big rock. Danny ran home through the woods. There was the dragon laying by the door of his house. Danny climbed quietly into his window to wait. In the morning, Danny went out, roaring. The dragon blew the fire and leaped at him. Then he dodged and ran toward the river. He flew down the path, dove behind the rock, and grabbed the rope. Down the path came the dragon. Then he tripped on the rope and crashed into the river. The river carried him far, far away.
Good. Smell that Jolly Rancher. Okay. What is this story about?
A boy named Danny that always go outside and play, and when he goes outside and play, a dragon always tries to bother him or chase after him, and he don't like the dragon.
And what does he try and do?
Escape from the dragon.
When did Danny make this plan?
Overnight.
What was Danny's plan?
His plan was to tie a rope to the tree and run all into the water because he knew the dragon could swim in the water.
How did Danny get out of the house that night?
Climb out the window.
What did Danny do with the rope?
He tied it to the tree and ran all the way down to the river.
Where was the dragon lying?
When he came back, the dragon was lying right by his door.
What did the dragon do to Danny?
Roar and try to blow him with fire.
What do you think happened to the dragon when it was in the river? And why?
You said that again?
Yeah. What do you think happened to the dragon when it was in the water? And why do you think that?
What I think happened to the dragon when he got in the water is that the water took him somewhere far, and why?
Yeah.
So he could stay away from little kids.
Okay. What might be another plan you could use to get rid of the dragon?
Don't live in the woods.
I like that. Explain what tiptoed means in this sentence. He tiptoed away from his house.
Basically, he was trying to be sneaky. He tried to get away without his mom catching him.
Right. Danny the dragon. Once again, look at the title, read the title silently to yourself. Tell me what you think will happen in this story.
I think it's a boy or girl that want to fly someday. Or fly a plane.
Okay. And again, I'm going to ask you to read the story out loud. And at the end of the story, I'm going to ask you some questions about the story without you looking at the story.
Jerry, looking at the sky, promised himself, I'm going to fly someday. Jerry, a 10-year-old boy from a small town in Iowa, had dreamed of flying since he was a little boy. He was just want to fly an airplane. He's going to fly like a hawk. He spent many hours watching hawks fly. This made it look so easy. With the powerful wings they built up at speed. Then they would glide. It was beautiful and breathtaking watching them ride the air currents. I'm going to fly. As he climbed to the top of the cliff, his imagination was far ahead of him, telling him how exciting he would be. At the top he paused only for a moment. Then he dove off the cliff into the air. This is wonderful. This is better than I ever imagined. He soared and he dipped and rose again. Riding the currents, flying was better than he had imagined. When Jerry awoke, his parents were sitting by the hospital bed. The doctor said, "You will be fine. You will have to miss 2 weeks of school because of your tonsil operation." After Jerry's parents left, he thought a moment. I really felt like I was flying. I could feel the cold air blowing through my hair. I saw the landscape below me. Was it a dream or not? If it was a dream, where did he get the brownish hawk feather he was holding?
Okay. Daisha, what is this story about?
This is about this boy named Jerry. He's 10 years old. He's in Iowa. And he always wanted to fly. He never wanted to fly a plane. He wanted to fly like a hawk.
Okay. How old is Jerry? What you
10.
just said. Where did he live in
Iowa.
Iowa? What did Jerry spend hours watching?
A hawk flying in the sky.
Why was Jerry in the hospital?
Because he ran up to the cliff and dove off.
Who came to visit Jerry?
His parents.
How much school will he miss?
2 weeks.
Do you think Jerry really flew?
Yeah.
Okay. And why?
Because he used to jump off. Because he said he jumped off a cliff. Like, you can't just jump somewhere and land up with a feather in your hand. And I think he jumped down and landed on the feather.
Okay. Where do you think the hawk feather came from?
As the hawk was flying in the air, I think. Wait, that's a good question. I don't know.
And what does landscape mean in this sentence? Or explain what landscape means in this sentence. Jerry saw the landscape below him. What does the word landscape mean?
A big, wide open field like a, open. We saw a landscape below. I think he was in a tree. I don't think he jumped off the cliff.
Oh, you want to change that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you think he was in a tree? So that was for, do you think Jerry really flew?
No.
You don't think he really flew?
If it was a landscape all the way down there, he jumped from a cliff, he could have been dead.
But he wasn't dead, right?